Are you ready for some simple, small steps that you can take to build sustainable habits that will help you manage the overwhelm and tame the chaos? If so, this episode's for you. Welcome to the Claim Your Day podcast. Here, it's all about taking full advantage of the time we have today and becoming intentional with our actions so we each can have the impact we want. If you want to stop drifting through life and start directing your life, and you're open to a short podcast from someone who's working at the exact same thing, then welcome. You're in the right place, my friend. Hi, I'm your host, Nick Mazey. To respect your time and so you can claim your day, let's dive right in. Hi, my friend, and welcome. Welcome to the Claim Your Day podcast. Glad you're joining in this episode. We're doing it right in the middle of or at the tail end, I guess, of a really short series, just 3 episodes long, on taming the chaos. To help you to overcome that overwhelm, to really focus in on what's most important to you, your priorities, your life, your family, your core values, so that you can live those out on a day-by-day basis. And, really, like I said, overcome and reduce some of that overwhelm so you can focus on what's most important to you, for your priorities. If you missed the last 2 episodes or either one of them, make sure you go check them out. We talked about, identifying some of those sources of overwhelm, as well as some really simple techniques that you can use to help identify and get crystal clear on your priorities and begin to say no, put some boundaries around those priorities so that you really can live them out. Because with all the demands for your time, attention, your energy, your focus, the choices that you make, all of that, if you're not intentional with that, then it's going to go sideways. You're never going to end up where you want unless you're intentional about it. There's an old saying, it's more focused on goals, but it applies to this too. And that's, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Something that Zig Ziglar used to say a long time ago. And that makes sense. So if we're not, aiming at living out our values, if we're not intentional with those priorities, then we're not going to hit them. It's just, you don't have a chance at it. It's like, John Maxwell says, no one who is successful is ever asked, how'd you get here? And they say, I just don't know. It just magically happened. How did I end up here? No, they were intentional about it. So we're going to apply the same things, or we can apply the same things to our own lives. So you can be intentional with your priorities, your values, what you do, and by being intentional with it, then you actually can end up living it out. You definitely won't live it out if you're not intentional. So we talked about, I said, finding out some of those things that are contributing to the overwhelm, some of those sources. We talked about, getting clear on those priorities and putting some boundaries around it so you actually can live it out. Now, what are some things you can do on a day-by-day basis to make this happen? What are some habits and some simple steps that you can take? Well, first, I just want you to think about someone who has reduced their daily stress by implementing a consistent morning routine with a brief evening wind down. Someone that has that structure through their day. Now, yes, things do pop up because no one's perfect. No one lives in a bubble. But when they do, they got a better foundation for handling it. They've started well. They're ending their days well. They know their priorities. They know their values. And they're really saying yes to those things first. And the things that come up that would distract them, that would interfere, to the greatest degree possible, they're saying no to those things. And they have their routine. Now, if you're a busy parent, that might seem like a little bit of a myth, a nirvana, some sort of heaven, some sort of fabled place that doesn't exist. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're partially right. You're partially right, and that nothing is perfect. We don't live in a sanitized world we can just put a bubble around everything. But I can tell you, though, at the same time, that when you build some small, consistent habits, around organization, mindfulness, self-care, when you build habits around honoring your values and your priorities, when things come up, it's going to be easier for you to either address and then get back on track. It's going to be easier for you to put the boundaries around what's most important because you have developed these small, consistent habits that truly honor your values and what you've determined is most important. So in this episode, we're going to go through just a few different things, a little bit related to organization, mindfulness, self-care, and really connecting with your values. So we're going to go through a few of these things. As always, some of it might not resonate with you. That's okay. don't throw out the things that do resonate with you and that could be helpful just because some of the ones, you've tried it and you don't care for it. Not all these things I'm saying are what I do. Now, I know I probably shouldn't say that, but I want to be authentic with you. I do a number of them, and some of them have just become second nature, and that I really think are the best thing in the world. But I do know that some things that don't work as well for me, might resonate with you. So I'm gonna go ahead and share with you some of these good some good tactics for you. All right, so let's talk about organization first. Now, organization is basically however you can, well, get a little bit more organized. There's a few points. I want you to think back on the last episode though, because that really does help when we talk about the prioritization. One of the things that is a huge benefit for me when it talks about organization here today is go back and think about that big three. Because when you can prioritize the most important tasks, then you can kind of group together the other things too. So think about that big three that we talked about in the last episode. But some of the big things that are highly recommended by people around productivity, it might be the 1 minute rule. And that is something you can just knock out something in 1 minute. Then sometimes it makes the most sense to not even put it on the to-do list, just to knock it out. Or group together some of your really short, fast tasks you can do. And that way you knock them out, you get them off your plate. And then here's another good one. It's really works great for transitions, but it's also good at the end of the day. And that's just preparing for the next day. So it's always kind of a scramble when you first start your day, or I was going to say always. Sometimes it's a scramble when you first start your day. You first start your day, at work, at the office, or when you're starting to get together a plan for the day. But if you can end your day well, then you're already preparing for the next day by either determining what those big three are, what you need to do. Basically, it's just a good way to wrap up the day. And with that, if there's any digital declutter, if there's cleaning up some emails, notifications, getting clear of some of that stuff, that can also help you to then end your day well, have that solid transition time where you're ending that work day or ending your day overall and having that good shutdown routine. Now, those are two that I struggle with a little bit more. When I do, it's very beneficial. That's just two of the ones, the end of the day kind of wrap up and the digital declutter. Those are two that I struggle with a little bit more. The 1 minute though rule, as far as knocking out tasks, those short tasks, I love that because it helps me to develop a little. I get a little bit of momentum, a little bit of focus, and then I'm ready to roll on to the bigger things because I've knocked out some of the smaller, easier ones. So, just want to share that with you. So as we're working on these habits, to help you to overcome that overwhelm, another great group of habits is all around mindfulness and stress reduction. Now, even when I say mindfulness, sometimes I feel a little bit weird about it because it's like, well, I don't have time to do a bunch of meditation or this or that. But don't allow any of the stigma of might be some new age stuff, peace, love, and happiness and hippiness. That's not all what mindfulness is about. Even when I was in psychology school, I was working on my master's degree, and some of the professors, had a negative viewpoint of mindfulness, but there is plenty of peer-reviewed journal articles and studies that really show simple mindfulness techniques actually, objectively reduce stress, on a documented level. It is awesome. So if you can build in a little bit of mindfulness, if you have this overwhelm, sometimes taking a few moments and doing what you need to do for you, it feels unproductive sometimes, and that's a story that we can tell ourselves. But actually, when you're caring for yourself, your mind, your levels of stress, when you're doing some things to care for that, it's actually going to help you to be a lot more productive, get more done, feel better about it, and a whole host of benefits. And so a mindfulness technique, might be just taking a few minutes of deep breaths. There's a few different breathing techniques that you can do. The box breathing is really, really good. And that's where you breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out through your mouth for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. It's really simple. And you can Google a few different breathing techniques. I like some of the apps that are out there. Headspace is a great meditation and mindfulness app. They have a free trial. It's really good. Even just if you do the free trial, it's really good, really helpful. And then Healthy Minds. I forget the university. I probably should have looked it up, but one of the universities puts that out there. Healthy Minds app. I believe it's on Android. I got an iPhone, and it's great. It's free. They have lots and lots of different activities. And in fact, there's one on Healthy Minds that is for your commute. Obviously, you don't close your eyes for it, but it's a great mindfulness exercise. When I was in a far more stressful position, that was, well, toward the end, it was getting really tough. I did the commute mindfulness exercise. I listened to that a number of times on the way to work in the morning, but the Healthy Minds app is really good for some simple mindfulness. What this can do, it can help you to reduce your stress, and actually ultimately be more focused and productive outside that time. A great way to also practice a little bit of the mindfulness and stress reduction is to schedule some breaks. And this might be, I love using my watch as a timer. I set my timer when I knock out some tasks, helps me be more productive, but I also set my timer for some breaks. And that might be just a 3 or 4 or 5 minute break. But during that break, I'm giving myself permission to completely step away and to be intentional with taking a break. Helps me step back into what I'm doing next, more charged, focused, and productive. Also, once again, helps reduce that stress. Another great stress reduction technique is a little gratitude practice. Shifting to the positive and actually stating out what you're grateful for gives a little bit of context so that, when you are overwhelmed, but you've taken time to be grateful, you put all that overwhelm into a little bit of context where, there are really still some good things. Yes, I need to knock out this, and this, but I still can be appreciative for all the good things I have in my life. All right, so we've talked a little bit of organization, a little bit of some mindfulness and stress reduction. And then when overwhelm's hitting you, you have to take care of yourself. You've got to do it. Life is stressful sometimes. There's lots of things coming your way. It's hard to always prioritize and live out your values and be intentional. At the same time, all these things can really edge out self-care. You caring for yourself and prioritizing that is the only way you're going to be able to live your best life. It's the only way you're going to be able to have the impact that you want, to have that, to fulfill that purpose that you have for your life, to lead a life of significance. If you're not caring for yourself, well, who's going to do it? You can't do it to your best ability if you're not caring for yourself. So I really want to encourage you to prioritize, some simple habits of self-care, prioritize your mental, physical well-being. Now, I'm only going to give you a few things. Well, probably I got on my material planning to do kind of a deeper dive into some self-care and well-being series, because that's how we claim our day. That's how we live our best lives, and we're intentional, is when we care for ourselves, and then ultimately we can have the impact that we want to have. But some just 3 simple ways that you can kind of get a jump start on this is one of the first one is prioritizing sleep. Now, if you're overwhelmed, this one's hard. Because there's more stuff to do. I get it. But when you have a good, healthy sleep habit, you're more effective. When you have a good, healthy sleep habit, it helps your body do its own natural stress reduction. It helps you to organize and to focus. You've got to protect that sleep. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole lot into what goes into that right now. Honestly, there's some great resources online. I'm not a medical doctor, so I can, in a future episode, I'll probably share some of the things that work well for me. But simply, when you prioritize that sleep, you try and go to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. You have a little bit of a wind down routine where you can kind of bookend your day and have that nighttime routine. Those are huge wins for prioritizing that sleep. Now, a next thing for some simple self-care and well-being is really just fueling your body right. That's plenty of water and good food. I would say good. Try to go unprocessed. Not going into a healthy diet rant right now, but you probably know what's good for you to eat and what's not good for you to eat. So, putting good things in your body with your water and how you fuel your body with your food, that goes a long way to helping your body perform how it needs to perform. And that's going to help with it naturally, handling some of that overwhelm, as well as movement. Exercise is one of those things. let's exercise and sleep. They go out the window when we're overwhelmed and we're trying to do everything. Don't let it. Even if it's just a few minutes of movement, some light exercising throughout your day, even the small movements count. Hey, do a couple laps up and down the stairs, a couple jumping jacks, a couple push-ups, something simple and easy that by doing it, you're getting some movement, you're getting some blood flow. It could be one of these 5-minute breaks that you schedule throughout the day where you do a few minutes of burpees. Now, burpees are no joke. They're not fun, but they're effective. They get the heart rate going, and prioritizing your health, however that is going to help you when you're taming that chaos. Some of these things that I just listed, they might not seem like they make a huge impact, but as John Maxwell is always saying, it's that those consistent steps, it's that consistency over time that's going to really have that impact that you want. And so be disciplined in these small things that you can do over time. And it's going to help you to have that, create that margin by overcoming that overwhelm, taming that chaos, by setting in some of these good habits that we just went through, either related to organization, the mindfulness, stress reduction, self-care. And the list could go on, but I want to keep these episodes, kind of short and actionable. But just know when you do these small things, John Maxwell, he always says he is so boring successful because all he's done is he does the small consistent steps and he repeats them day after day and year after year, and it's ultimately created the significance and the impact that he wants, living out his values by being consistent. So I want you to take that, run with it and apply it to your life. When you're caring for yourself and your well-being, and developing these habits, it's going to help you to reduce that overwhelm, and it's going to help you to live out a life that aligns with your values, your physical and mental well-being, and to have that significance that you want. It's built on these small habits and these actionable steps that you're taking on a day-by-day basis. So today, the action step today, the takeaway, I want you to think about one small habit that you can start. One small habit. It might be related to the organization, mindfulness, self-care that we talked about. It might be outside that. But I want you to think about, hey, what's the one small habit that you can start and develop? Schedule it. Decide how and when you're going to incorporate it into your life and your daily routine. You can set a reminder on your phone, your watch, have a trigger. So you do this at X time or when you're doing something else. Start that small habit today. Okay? Start that small habit today. These small habits, it's going to help create that lasting change that you want for your life. You're managing that overwhelm so that you have the mental bandwidth so that you can live out your values on a day-by-day basis. Start small and be consistent, my friend. You can do it. You have the power to build routines that can help support, a little bit calmer, more effective, and significant life living out your values. All right. Choose that one small habit, that one thing that you're going to implement, and do it. Schedule it and do it. All right, my friend? All right. Well, thank you for listening to the Claim Your Day podcast. Glad you're joining in. Hope this Tame the Chaos series was helpful for you. As always, I greatly appreciate it if you'd rate and review this podcast. You can share it with somebody that you think might get some benefit out of it too. And as always, you can check out nickmazy.com. I'm adding some more stuff there, but that intentional day formula worksheet, it might be what you need to really zero in on your values and begin to live them out. All right. Thank you for listening. Take care, and can't wait to talk to you in the next episode.